everybody, wonderful people. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are listening to me around the world. I see a lot of friends actually from India. All right, hello to you. It's a little bit later in the afternoon for you on a Saturday, so thanks for joining. And of course, everybody else from around the world. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Dahlia Zayed. I'm the founder and managing director of FWD Consultancy. My focus is brand and retail strategy in the Middle East, Africa regions. And today's topic is part of a series that I started a couple of months ago, audio LinkedIn series. It's free, it's in English, I'm live. I take your comments and questions at the end. Lovely interactions, and I've been asked to have an extension and a rerun sort of this topic. I did one round in April, and you can find the upload on my YouTube channel, FWD Consultancy, and happy to take your input and questions afterwards. So what are we talking about today? If we just look at the title, can digital advertising build brand equity? Now, there are three words here in that title that are really a clear buzz: digital, advertising, and brand equity. They're all interlinked. So just the purpose and of this conversation, and to frame it, why it came up, not that it was hidden anywhere, but think about it. Digital, and for the last 10, 15 years, has been part and parcel of our daily lives. I mean, it's no hidden secret. I mean, in the old days, I think when you got an ad on your phone or during streaming any content, you would be surprised. And then it's a normal thing, and then it's an annoying thing. And then there comes, unskippable ads, then subscription models, and all advertisers are just going crazy around clutter. I don't want to even give you the numbers, you can Google them yourself. But the amount of lack of attention is astounding. Yeah, so what do you do as a brand owner? Is digital for you anymore? Yeah. And then with COVID, let's face it, we are more online than ever. I mean, all of that work from home stuff, all of that e-commerce, so it is part of our lives. We cannot deny it. But as brand owners, what are we doing? More and more, we are shifting our budgets to digital. I mean, I think P&G had announced earlier the year that 50% of their advertising budget would go to digital. But I mean, the question would be, what kind of quality are we putting out there? There is clutter, fine. And there is your brand equity. And there is, I mean, hopefully you have a brand strategy. I mean, I'm putting that out there as a given, hopefully, fingers crossed. But what do we do? What kind of content? I've recently, come into this discussion with, a lovely company I've supported here in Egypt called Arma. They have a lot of leading local brands in different categories, and I really love supporting local brands that are really hitting it very well against multinationals. It's a passion of mine. No offense, multinational guys. But they said, like, we want to launch this new little brand in the dishwashing, area. And we don't have a budget, and we just want to support it with digital. So is it possible that we do that or not possible? So I told the lady, I told her, actually, this is a very good question, and I never really thought about it as, solo medium versus, all the old thinking of around, 360, TV, billboards, trade promotions, all of that, the old school that we came from. Is that even possible anymore with the budgets cutting? Do you even need it in some sectors and some brands? And you're mass market. You're going to be dishwashing liquid, all right? You're not a niche, organic, plant-based kind of, you know what I mean, yeah? Which you can build easily on digital. So honestly, it took me a bit of while. This was like a 6 months ago discussion to, run into some numbers and some data, and I got some input from the Kantar Media globally, the panel. They've had some research recently published, which I had access to, and they were again talking about similar questions coming from their clients globally. How far can we invest in digital advertising, and does that yield into good brand equity building or not? Honestly, the way I see it is digital had this, and still has this reputation of being kind of fast food. It's very easy. You have a digital plan, and you have these, wizards online. They just post stuff, put together a post, content, post it, click of a button, it's there, it's live. It's not like, the TV work where you have like, months and months of preparation, proper briefing, and all of that. So to me, that's like fast food. And then, all the proper 360 work is home cooked meal, if we can make that, description. Um, from the Kantar stuff, they have looked into a lot of mediums on the last a year. I think this data is from a year back. And it is astounding how much digital have taken over. I mean, when you see the numbers, it's when you really realize like it's all about digital. So out of the old mediums, on a scale up to 10, online videos is the highest, it's 7.9, and then music streaming, and then social media feeds, which got down to 6 for influencers, by the way, content. And at the back end, you find newspapers. Remember newspapers? Okay, online newspapers. That is. I mean, we're not even talking print now. Yeah, some of you on this event, I know they don't even remember print newspapers. Yeah, that makes me feel a bit ancient. Sometimes I feel I'm a dinosaur now. So it is part and parcel of our daily lives, digital media. Now, in the Kantar discussion, because I was on that panel as well some months back, and we were looking at KPIs naturally. And all of you media wizards out there, or agencies, you probably get all of these KPIs about performance. You hear that word, performance marketing, a lot, yeah? Click through, completion rate, level of engagement, sharing, blah, blah, blah. Not that I'm belittling it in any way, but here, if we're talking about brand equity, okay, it's layers and layers of association. It has a lot of depth. It's every word, every action that comes out there from the brand. Whether, I mean, classically we call it touch points. Yeah, absolutely. And one of the touch points is the experience, the head of the organization, every employee. It's very hard, but it's worth it, and nobody said that building brands is easy. It never is. But you know what? If you've been following the news of the economy around the world and how brands are performing, you would always see that the bigger brands that have invested years and years of building, they will stand out still. Yes, there's competition, absolutely. There's affordability issues, absolutely. But then there is a brand there. There is awareness, there's saliency, and so forth. Now, not to deviate in that, but again, going to the Kantar panel and research results, they were saying that apart from the KPI measurements on with the media gurus and so forth, they have seen the outcome of how worthy and influential and impactful and successful these ads are only through the classic brand association measures. So the awareness, the motivation, the emotional equity, and so forth. On top of it, of course, the attention. You know, um, I mean, there is a workshop that I've been running for the last 18 months in Cairo, winning communication. And part of it, I explain the pillars of winning communication, which to me are three. First, relevancy. Do you have the offer, the bundle, the brand that really clicks with an insight, a gap with that target? You're speaking to them. So the relevancy at the top of it. And then the attention with all that clutter. Are you really speaking to the right customer in their own language? And the third one is memorability, which is the long-term measures by which there are brand cues that live up to consumers' expectations, but also layers and layers of positive association over time. And in that, I speak a lot about neuromarketing and how you can use the multisensorial experiences to build that equity over time. And that is exactly what was coming out of the research. So net net, again, goes back to what kind of quality of content you are putting out there. Where is your creative? Okay. I know for a fact, and I had one of the biggest companies in the world, in the beverage world. I mean, there are only two, so you can make a guess which one of that. So I spoke to, the regional head guy on this because, I wanted to be prepared in a lot of ways around media, and it's not really my top thing. I'm just a user of the data, not the actual data. And he said what we use is viewability. So literally the report he gets in is whether they viewed it or not. And I thought like, oh my God, if the biggest company in the world is looking at that and not the quality of the content. So yeah, I saw the ad, full stop. And then what? Where is the click? I mean, to me, this is really very, very shocking. But anyway, now, as much as I love digital, but at the same time, I look and I put my, my hat on the bigger business picture. And if you, as a marketeer, you go to your finance guy or your boss or your CEO and ask for money, I would ask, where is the return on investment? Or, or one of the guys were calling it ROMI, which is return on marketing investment. And I think this is one of the parts where marketeers are falling off the track because they need to be business people, not marketing / advertising people. And when you ask for more money, okay, whether you're going to put it in digital or whatever, you need to show where is the efficiencies and therefore where are the KPIs. So are we just looking at performance marketing, or are we looking at the quality of the content? I honestly believe whether it's digital or TV or billboard, as long as it's good creative quality that is relevant to the customer and relevant to what your brand stands for, it will hit. We had this argument in digital around time. Okay, I can go on and on around, what makes a good ad, which is, applicable to digital, by the way, something I'm going to touch on a little bit later, as well as the nature of the medium. But if you think about it, digital should be, time limited, or so people think. But honestly, if you're giving me good content online and it's 10 seconds or 45 or 2 minutes, but it hits home for me, I will continue watching and I will share. I mean, if you're really into media and stuff, and you read about what's going on in the different platforms, think of TikTok, think of YouTube. They've done, all of these researches around what is better, a long video or a short video. Should we allow users to do their own content in a certain format or whatever, blah, blah, blah. You know the stories, if you're into it, the arguments back and forth on this. I'm not going to go into that. But the point is, again, it's all about content. Yeah? What are you giving people out there? Yeah? Is it relevant or not? Is really building on your brand equity or not? I mean, I can go on and on. This research has a lot of, what should I say, more proof around what makes a good ad is. So we're talking about music, humor, maybe celebrities as well. Positive emotions is extremely important. I think at some point, the guys were looking at how expressive, the facial expression around, you know, um, there's this company, I don't want to confuse you, but there's this company that works with Kantar that they do facial expression coding, yeah? And it's I've used them in the past when I was, in my past corporate life with Mondelez, like 15 years back, and it was like a novelty. Now it's actually in a software. But we used to watch the expression of consumers when we give them the first cut of an ad for a Cadbury or a Milka or a Trident, and you see the expression on their face, like, eyebrows or a smile or a surprise and so forth. And it's extremely, extremely important to capture that emotion. So one of the things is, are you, what kind of impact you're leaving on your customers when they see their ad? And this goes for product or services, whatever. I mean, we need positivity in our lives. This is us as human beings. I mean, you can go into directly into gratification and big, serious concepts, or on the absolute, and suspect that people will actually get it. It's a continuum, and I think there was one of those models. What's the name of the guy? Professor Martin something. They call him like the guru of positive emotions, and he had this model called PERMA, which is positive emotion, engagement, relationship, meaning, and accomplishment. So you cannot go into absolute concepts like, I accomplished this, or I'm like, let's say a brand on wellness, for example. You cannot just go out there and say, we're about wellness. No, I mean, take baby steps with consumers to tell them, this is about, changing your lifestyle. You give them bits and pieces of examples of their daily lives, blah, 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 and so forth. You don't just jump. Okay, so all that building of good advertising and communication has been there forever. The learnings are there. Now, the fact that you're taking that into a medium that is digital versus a TV versus a billboard is just, the nature is different. But it has to be good content. I don't know why people are just, confused about it. And I think more and more digital will be mainstream. So if you're going to use it properly. I mean, we don't have a premium for that. And I think at some point, with all of these, streaming platforms, people are watching less TV. I mean, there are different arguments about this because it differs by country and SEC, fine. It differs also if you're mass versus niche and stuff like that. But we do see the trend that is going through streaming and so forth, yeah? I've actually heard some people, I mean, this sounds a bit weird, but they, in this part of the world, in Egypt and the Middle East, Ramadan is a really big thing, and people, like to watch advertising. And there were options in some streaming platforms that, you would unsubscribe or subscribe to advertising. Yeah, you have that option. Some people would tell me, no, we will keep the advertising because we enjoy it. Yeah, there is a level of enjoyment, there is a level of that. So don't be a boring brand. Yeah, I mean, digital does not mean like hit and run kind of thing. As I was telling you, it's not fast food versus a home cooked meal. So next time you're doing a campaign, please think about writing a brief that is dedicated to digital, because the medium differs, the screen differs. We are on our mobiles 24/7. I mean, there's all this free reports around the consumption of media around the world, so any country you would know where you're heading. So that is, I mean, I can tell you for Egypt, for example, we're one of the highest in the world, so like 7 hours a day online. It's a disaster. I don't even want to comment on this one, but not very good use of our time. But anyway, that's a side issue. So I would think that you need to refresh your thinking around the way you brief agencies and use your budget for digital media and of course KPIs. So that would be a quick view on that, and a continuum from last session. I'd be more than happy to hear your builds, your experiences with digital, your challenges, and of course questions. Just raise your hand. Manan, please go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Just 1 second, hold on. Yeah. So hi there. Yeah. Good evening, or maybe whatever the weather is. But and hello everyone. So the topic is very true. Even I also agree with the same, that how digital advertising can build brand equity. I mean, since we are mentioning about the advertising and ROI and all the stuff, so I went also connected with the same industry and same field, what I am doing and what I will be doing in the future. So talking about the same, that I also somehow read that uh, loyalty program can be used for customer acquisition and encouraging existing customers that they can spending upon their advertising, and how can they may leverage the use of advertising so that they can build equity, and vice versa they can acquire customers more and more. So I mean, you recently talk about the Ramadan case in case of Middle East country. So even I also get some of the ads in when I was surfing the internet, or when I used to see the ads of Ramadan, how they are actually spending, and they are worthwhile. I mean, this is very good to say on this kind of platform, that uh, countries like Qatar, Dubai, and all the Middle East countries, they are leveraging this platform so as they can acquire more and more customers through advertising by creating relevancy, uh, accessibility, and worthwhile content, so that they can directly arrive. They don't have to go for each. Once they are arriving, they will be retaining a long time. This is true. And because the last year the Qatar World Cup was there, so that was also made a very good point of view. I mean, touch the sky, that because that is also a great impact, that people are in that case they are watching the World Cup by seeing the thing, and ultimately their country's revenue will also increase in terms of tourism likewise.
Yeah, sure. I mean, thank you for sharing that thought. I mean, I see that you are passionate social media. So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
I mean, for my own knowledge, because we spoke about the KPIs. What's your favorite KPI? I mean, it sounds like, a casual thing, favorite KPI, but I thought like, because I've been into these debates with media people back and forth and agencies, and, I'm not the expert, but if, somebody like, really in baby school kind of media, and you would suggest, and it's a small brand, what is the one thing they need to look at in the data?
Even I am also not expert and professional, but since I have done the course and I have been gone through that process, that how it actually works during my when I entered into digital marketing social media industry last year. So I had also experimented for 5 days by creating actual live campaign that the course coordinator has suggested me and everyone learner who were learning the course. So I found that CTR makes more sense, even though your brand is small, even though your brand is big, even though you have less customer, that doesn't make sense. But I feel that CTR will gain more impact, because impression and that are absolutely that are thing for organic. But how much you, I mean, or in also CTR, that it should not be less than or equal to, but it should be like that good enough so that you can derive insight and take decision accordingly.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Because I mean, also one thing, that brand equity, I mean, takes time. I mean, it is not easy thing. I mean, as we are discussing and all that stuff, but I mean, it takes time to
Sure.
derive
Yeah.
insight and build accordingly loyalty. Even
Yeah, absolutely, Manan. Badr, please go ahead. Good to hear from you.
into the point
Yeah,
of view.
unmute yourself. Yeah. Badr, Akh Badr, unmute yourself. Good to hear from you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, or good evening. I'm here just to say thank you very much for this great content and the great insight. Dahlia, the subject is very important, and I was very pleased attending this session. I learned a lot, so I just wanted to say thank you. يعطيك الصحة والعافية. شكرا شكرا. مع
شكرا
السلامة.
ليك I'm so happy to hear from you. It's been a long time. ينعاد عليك وإن شاء الله نسمع منك قريب. Thank you so much for joining and your kind words. Guys, questions, comments, any traps, challenges you've had in the past. Because, by the way, I would always advocate for continuous learning and unlearning, by the way, because I learn and unlearn all the time, and this is how we grow. And particularly in businesses of media and digital, I mean, come on, guys. I mean, I can advocate for something that was best practice, I mean, 2 years ago, now it's not. So please do always keep updated. I mean, I told you the trigger for this conversation was with this lady from a client of mine, and when she asked me, and I said like, I need to think about this because I have a bit of information, but I don't think I have the full picture, and that's why I dig in some information. And who knows, maybe in 3 months' time, I'll come back to you with another session and tell you, by the way, I have an update. So please continue learning, okay? This is how we grow, and this is how we become better at what we do. So tell me, what's your bugs in your business with regards to digital advertising? Okay, any more questions, guys, before we wrap it up? Okay, so thank you so much for joining me this morning. Have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you soon. Don't forget, next Saturday is going to be about private label. Yeah, and it will be season 1, episode 7. Yeah, I'll see you then. Ciao.